This is a subject I should say is really important to me, and I know it's important to a lot of people that are around the state in Florida with unemployment. I saw throughout my experiences dealing with the DEO, dealing with the unemployment system in Florida, where my account actually got hacked. And I've heard through quite a few other people that their accounts have been locked, information has been changed, and people have got into their accounts. So Greg Scasny is going to be on our program today. He's the Chief Technology Officer at Cigent, and he does a lot of cybersecurity work with that organization. And with that, Greg, thanks so much for coming on the program. Greatly appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Can we talk a little bit about what's going on with unemployment and how these hackers are getting into people's accounts?
And so there's many different ways they can do it. So people need to realize that anytime there's chaos, right? So the issue with the Florida unemployment system is something that's made national news, right? So these hacker groups, and I'm not talking about the more advanced type hacker groups. I'm talking about the guys who are more opportunistic, the guys who do this kind of phishing campaigns and things like that, who go on, who look on the dark web for information. They watch the news, right? These aren't stupid people.
Right.
So anytime there's chaos and confusion, along with a way to be paid, these guys are going to take advantage. Just again, I use the term scumbags. They are scumbags. These are low life individuals. Again, I won't get into the political side of what they're dealing with, but long story short, it's out there. So they know it's out there, and there's multiple different ways that they could choose to attack that level of system, right? So first off, the Florida unemployment system was breached, right? So back in May, there was a story that the system that houses the Florida unemployment website was breached. They said that 100 people were infected. Again, full disclosure, I was not part of the incident response. I have no dealings with the DEO, so everything I'm saying here is just my opinion. And so don't hate me for it. But coming out that, doing a proper, what they call incident response, doing the right type of investigative work, the right kind of forensic work, it takes to understand a breach of that level, what systems they had access to, what information they had access to. Usually takes a very, very long time, and to be brutally honest about it, most organizations, and the state's no different, don't have either the cybersecurity technical talent, the IT technical talent, or the systems in place to really go back forensically and understand what happened, right? So they said that 100 people were breached. That's one way they could have gone in. It could have been more than 100 people. Again, it's very difficult to go back in time and say for certain that was the only people that were infected. So that's way number one. And again, a couple things about me. I talk fast. I love what I do. So if you have questions, you're going to have to interrupt me. I've been doing IT security. I've been doing IT security for a long time. I teach for NASA. I just get really, really excited about this kind of stuff. So second way they're going to do things is, which is probably more what happened. Again, I don't know you. I don't know what your security practices are, but phishing is a huge deal, right? So one of the things that happens when I talk about that confusion piece of it, right? So people are confused. They're unemployed. They're not getting paid. They're pissed off. They really just want to get their money. They're owed the money, right? The government is the custodian of that unemployment insurance that you pay into. Again, the economy shut down. They want to get their money, so they're anxious. People tend to make less good decisions when they're anxious versus when they've had time to think about it, especially when you have no income coming in. Again, that psychology around the social engineering piece of these attacks is very, very important. So it's much, people won't pay as much attention when they see something that could look like it comes from the Department of Unemployment into their email that says, hey, please log in. And that site they go to will look exactly like the Department of Unemployment website. So what do? They type in their social security number, they type in their PIN number, they hit enter. It could give them an error that says, oh, sorry, you mistyped it, and then forward them on to the real site, right? And they don't think anything about it. But guess what? Now that attacker has both your social security number and your login, and now it's just a matter of time. And they can run this over, there's 21 million people in the state of Florida, right? So they can run this over and over and over and over again. And all they have to do is get a handful of people, right? They get a couple, 30, 40, 50,000 people. They're making out like, they're making out like bandits. So, and usually that's what we end up seeing is it usually starts with these kind of things where someone has logged in for an account takeover. And it doesn't happen just with unemployment. It happens with any other kind of cloud-based system that you could think of where they do
Right.
these what's called.
Greg, I've
Go ahead.
got the emails, something like you're talking about from Amazon. It's like Amazon.com and they put like R at the end or S or, a little bit. And if you're not like, I'm not going to say the intelligent enough, but if you're not like really looking at this intently and trying to make sure that it's really Amazon, really DEO, whatever it may be, then like you said, you could click right into it. So I know what you're talking about, and I saw that. I said, this isn't right. This doesn't look right, and then you delete it. But yeah, I know that's out there. I agree.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue is that part of what the company I had prior to Cigent, we were an offensive cybersecurity company. So we did penetration tests, and we did social engineering tests, and again, when people know it's coming, so we would do what we call phishing engagements, where we would lots of companies around here would hire us, and we would just send their employees phishing emails to try to get them to click on things, and we would warn them ahead of time. We're telling them we're not going to tell you the day we do it, but we over the next month are going to someday do a phishing assessment, so be aware. And we would still get 30% of people clicking on it. So again, that's an organization who's been told it's going to happen. Now, again, you start putting in the things again where I'm not getting paid and I really need to get my unemployment. There's no, again, I hate to say it's not intelligence because that's not the truth. It's just really, it's human nature is all it is.
Who's to say that once they have your PIN number, once they have your social security number, especially if these people, some of them were not vetted, they could keep that in the system. You hang up, or even while you're on the phone, what they did with me is somebody changed my bank account information. I didn't even know, and I was not notified by that. So who's to say that just went down, and it wasn't even something to do with phishing. It was just somebody that, wasn't vetted, and they just got that information, and boom, and that's it.
So what the scenario you described is what's called insider threat.
Okay.
So insider threats is probably, especially when it comes to governmental agencies, so especially the federal government, state and local governments, insider threat is probably one of the biggest pushes inside those organizations for security because it's a huge problem. We have a saying, in our company, we talk about that a successful attacker should look exactly like a trusted insider because it's the hardest people to detect. Our company, we have products that can detect threats, right? So we put monitoring equipment on networks. We watch networks all day. We're looking for hackers and advanced attack groups. But when you have someone who is trusted, who's given access to a system, that has legitimate credentials to get on the system, who can search data, who can do that kind of stuff, if they're a threat on the inside, it's very, very difficult to be able to detect those guys. So what you're saying absolutely happens. It's a huge problem. It's been going on for years, especially in again federal government circles. It 100% absolutely happens, even with vetted people, right? So when you start dealing with higher levels of information, people who are extremely vetted, it still happens, right? I mean, Edward Snowden's a great example, right? So Edward Snowden had security clearances. He was a trusted contractor, and he just stole a ton of national secrets, right? So again, the vetting part, I get it. Yeah, they should be vetting people whether they did or didn't. I don't know, but regardless of that, doesn't matter. Bad people are bad people, right? So those type of things, the best thing I can tell people is there's a few things you can do on that side of things. So, and I'll backtrack one little second. Again, I've been very fortunate that our company has ran throughout COVID, so I haven't had to deal with the unemployment thing. So I definitely feel empathy for everybody who had to go through that, but I don't know the specifics of their system. Or if they offer things like two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication, if you're not familiar, is where you have a thing on your phone like a Google Authenticator where you type in codes. You have things like this little YubiKey. It's a little hardware key that provides a second factor. That's probably the biggest thing you can do for your accounts that make it much more difficult, even for someone on the inside, to be able to get at some of your data. Second thing is you got to monitor your credit reports, right? So the first thing you got to do is, and this happened to me. I mean, even though I'm a cyber guy, no one's immune to this stuff. We just, obviously interest rates are down. Me and my lovely wife decided to refinance our house. We monitored our credit reports. We pulled up her credit report, and someone had tried to take out a PPE loan in her name. So we had the same thing. We called the attorney general, put in it, but you can do things, if you're not monitoring that stuff, you won't see it too. You can put credit freezes on there. So they did that in the time that we pulled off our credit freezes, to do our refinance, but it happens. We didn't get anything, luckily, but if you're not monitoring that stuff, you just don't know. So you got to monitor your bank accounts, use your two-factor authentication, put credit freezes on the three big credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and whatever the other one is, Equifax. Those are some precautionary measures you have to do. You're not going to, people think that they can prevent these type of things from happening, and you really can't. There's always a new vulnerability. There's always a new way to do things. It's a cat and mouse game between people who try to defend and people who are on the offensive side. What you can do as a consumer is, again, understand your information. Be responsible for your own information, so that way when things happen, you can react quickly. The worst thing that can ever happen to an individual is something bad happens and you don't notice, and it goes on for a very, very long time, because then you're going to lose more money. It's harder to get back. It's harder to get your identity back. It becomes more expensive. So the closer you can monitor that stuff and take action when something bad does happen, the better off you're going to be.
Why didn't the DEO have something like, you have an internet company, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, like you said, if you change your password, if you change your banking information, they send you an email, call, text, whatever it may be, and say, hey, somebody went into your account on a different computer. Somebody went into your account and changed this information, that information. Was it you? Is that what you're talking about with the authentication?
Similar like that, but what two-factor authentication is basically,
Okay.
you would have your social security number and your PIN number, and then it would ask you for something that you have, right? So something that you have. So again, I won't show you mine, but
No, yeah.
Google, they change the passwords on Google Authenticator change every 30 seconds, right? So it's
Right.
possible to guess. So again, this is something that I have. My little hardware YubiKey, which most people don't use, these are a little more advanced, but we use this for our company. This is a key you plug into there, and it generates a one-time use password. It's different every time you push the button. So a little bit more advanced two-factor authentication.
Yes.
The issue with the Florida unemployment system, though, is this is kind of, I don't want to call it a comedy of errors, but it's definitely a whirlwind of crap that all happened at once, right? So you have a system, Florida's unemployment system. So for years, for the past several years, unemployment's been extremely low. So you have a system that is there. It's functioning at the current levels that it's being utilized, right? And when it comes to spending money on IT systems, most organizations and the state government and federal governments are no different, is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. So the unemployment system was functioning for the level of usage that it had prior to COVID. Then we had this crazy event, right? So the government shuts down the economy, unprecedented, right? So now you have in a matter of a week, you have record low unemployment to unemployment levels that have never been seen in the history of our country. And so you have a plethora of people trying to utilize the system at once, which is why it crashed the first time. It was not designed to handle that level of unemployment, because there was no way you could ever, even the best mathematical models you could ever try to predict in the worst case scenario, say that many people are going to go unemployment at once. So you had a system that just was not designed to take the load of what happened to it. The governor basically come out and said it was a shit sandwich, right? I don't know if you can bleep me out if you need to later on. But yeah, I like to swear. And it's true. The system just was written in a very old programming language called COBOL. There's not many COBOL programmers around. It's not used much anymore. It's what hasn't been modernized. It wasn't meant to take that load. So you pair that then with they're trying to overhaul the system at the same time, right? And so just to get people paid. Right, because that's what they have to do. There will probably end up being lawsuits over this, because they have to. Again, it's your money. It's not the government's money. Then trying to get the system fixed enough so they can actually pay people. Security is always going to be an afterthought in things like that. Security is mostly an afterthought in most software that you deal with today anyways. Security is expensive. Security reduces functionality. It's never thought of in the beginning for the most part. That attitude's starting to change in the industry, by the way, because of the amount of news. The news has been really good to the security industry. People didn't want to spend money on security years and years ago. Now that they understand the ramifications behind having poor security, so that's changing. But it's not we're not turning a center console. We're turning a cruise ship with that.
You know, these state governments are losing thousands upon millions of dollars. And if they had maybe a simple security system, yes, maybe it'll get hacked. Yes, maybe they'll lose some money, but not at the amount of millions of dollars that they're losing now, correct?
Yes, and that's, security is one of those things. It's always, especially with larger organizations, whether that be state, federal governments, or larger companies. Security is always one of those things that you don't need it until you need it, right? I don't really need. Why should I spend money on this security system? I haven't been hacked until you get hacked. And then it's like, oh shit, now I really should have bought that. Same thing with the ransomware attacks that happened. I'm sure you've heard about those. Those are going to continue to happen. And it's the same thing. No one thinks they need to spend a dime on security until all their computers are encrypted and they don't know what to do. Or they've been breached and now an attacker has all their intellectual property and they're willing to put it online for free. These things happen all the time. And same with the state unemployment or anything with stimulus checks or anything like that. Anytime there's money involved where things especially this is again unprecedented when you have this amount of money involved. You have not only the unemployment system but the stimulus checks. There's plenty of fraud going on with that as well, because there's just a lot of money involved. A lot of money is changing hands. It's happened very, very quickly. People want to get their money and the attackers know this and they will take advantage of that every time.
The question about people getting their money back. Now, in my case, it's up to the DEO if they're going to pay me that money back, because I actually spoke to, and this is, I want you to touch on this too. This bank that the person went in and changed my account information, they told me actually that bank account number is not through them, it's through a Lilly pay card. I never even heard of that, but apparently it's something to the effect of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, a Cash App, PayPal type of thing. Is that correct, or is it even harder to find out who that is? I mean, is that true that it's hard to track these Lilly pay cards? Or
it is. They're a little more difficult to track. So Lilly is a banking card. It's a Visa card, right? So you can use it like a Visa. They when you sign up for the app, they give you like a free checking account. But you can transfer money in and off. You can take it to any ATM machine and get cash out of it. So, but realize they're utilizing. This is how kind of all this stuff works together when people don't understand, like, oh, what if someone gets my information? Why is it a big deal? There are dark web databases full of stolen identities, informations, and things, and where these attackers can then set up a bank account, and they don't do it just with small little Lilly cards. So, even though that's a new way they started using the Lilly app, because it is a branded Visa card and it's easy to get the cash out. Criminals don't want credit cards; they want cash, right? That's the thing. They want cash. So Lilly's just a vehicle for them to be able to do that, and then by using a stolen identity, they have no.
It's really happening a lot now with people using these Lilly accounts to hack and transfer money. Is that what you're saying then?
Well, it's just not Lilly. They can use any vehicle. So we do a lot of investigations for people like real estate fraud. So think about that, not just setting up these guys. Again, you're not talking. We're talking multiple six figures of fraud. Where the attackers will actually go using a fake identity to a bank, set up a wiring account, break into someone's email, wait for them to try to send wiring instructions, infiltrate that email with new wiring instructions to get them to wire to this new account. And as soon as they wire to that new account, which is set up with a fake identity, they'll then take that money and wire it outside the country. And you never see that money again. So I mean, I've been on cases. I've probably worked, I don't know, 20 or 30 of these in the past 2 years, and some of these were $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 that are just gone. It's gone. I mean, getting it back is very, very difficult. And again, they're just taking that same type of playbook and utilizing a different vehicle. Lilly is just that vehicle, right? It's just a way to be able to quickly get money that they can get out. They want to get that money on the card, because if that money sits for a long time, even in a Lilly account, and someone can trace it, they can freeze that account to get your money back. But if they can put it on a Lilly card that they have and they go to the ATM and immediately withdraw it, or transfer it to an account outside the country, getting that money back becomes exponentially harder.
As Florida unemployment is to just keep checking your account every day, and that's the only ability.
Every other day. You know, we don't know if you have to do it every day, but, you know, at least every other day. If you haven't been paid yet, you know, obviously log in and keep tabs and that kind of stuff. That is really the only thing you can do with that system at the moment. If and when they have actually get it overhauled for security. You know, again, some notification from them that, hey, you've changed your bank account. Would sure that seems like, again, a pretty easy fix in my eyes. But again, I'm not a COBOL programmer.
Yeah.
But it saves you a lot of hassle and probably a lot of other people too, right?
Right.
I mean, I understand the issues that everybody's going through, even on their side. Like I'm empathetic to what they're trying to get accomplished as well. But they should really make these type of attempts a priority, right? Because I mean, you had something happen to you that really through no fault of your own, right?
Right.
Happened, and again, however it happened, some of the deficiencies in their system led that to happening over a longer period of time than what it should.
Well,
Well, and the attackers know that too, right? They know that they watch the news too, right? They know they're telling people, hey, it's taking a long time, and again, that's to their advantage. They know that. So, like I said, it's unfortunate, and there's no quick fix, unfortunately. That's the issue. They're not gonna snap their fingers and fix that tomorrow, but it should be part of their strategic plan to say, hey, and it should be every state and federal government system, right? To have those protections put in them, because that's just going to again, and good luck trying to find, even if they knew the person that stole the money out of your account. Good luck doing anything to them at all, right? They're 9.99 times out of 10, they're not in this country. So there's some place that has no extradition. The FBI can spend time trying to investigate it. They're not going to end up prosecuting anybody. You're not going to see the cash again. It's gone. And that's the biggest issue with cyber. People don't realize is that it is one of the few criminal things that you can do that is very low risk and high reward. Again, if you're not inside the United States, the risk to you of being prosecuted for it is extremely small. The guys that get caught are the stupid ones, to be brutally honest with you. And again, if you're a place that has no extradition, even if you do get caught, you're not going to pay a penalty for it, and the payoff is huge.